Welcome back to the Metabolic Revolution podcast. I'm Dr. Steve Presciutti, and if you're listening to this, you came to the right place. Today we're talking about something that affects millions of women every single month. And the truth I'm about to share will probably make you angry. You've been told PMS is normal, that cramps are just part of being a woman, that mood swings, bloating, breast tenderness, cravings, fatigue, all of it is just hormones. Pop some Midol, use a heating pad, and deal with it. Here's what nobody tells you. Severe or even moderate PMS symptoms are not normal. It's really metabolic dysfunction. And here's the good news. It's completely preventable. Quick reminder before we dive in here, this podcast is educational information only, not medical advice. Always work with a healthcare provider who understands metabolic health before making changes. Now, let's expose the estrogen trap that's been keeping women suffering unnecessarily. This is episode 21, and we've been building toward this conversation. A few episodes ago, we dove deep into fertility, showing how metabolic restoration is the key to conception. Today's episode is the natural next step, because the same metabolic dysfunction that destroys fertility also creates the monthly hell that millions of women accept as just how it is. But first, I need you to understand something critical. What you're experiencing isn't normal. And your body is not broken. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do when metabolism is suppressed and hormones are out of balance. Let me start with a story that's going to sound familiar. Rebecca came to me at 38 years old. Every month, like clockwork, days 21 to 28 of her cycle were absolute hell. Days 21 to 23, irritability starting, food cravings kicking in. Days 24 to 26, full emotional meltdown mode. Fighting with her husband over nothing, crying at commercials, bloated to the point where she looked pregnant, days 27 to 28, cramping so severe she'd miss work, headaches, exhaustion, complete metabolic shutdown. Then her period would start, and within 2 to 3 days, she'd be back to normal, until it happened again next month. Her gynecologist's solution? Birth control. They told her that it'll regulate your hormones. Spoiler alert, birth control doesn't regulate hormones. It suppresses them. And in Rebecca's case, it made everything worse. Weight gain, zero libido, crushing fatigue, depression. She felt like a zombie version of herself. When she came to me, her morning body temperature was down to 96.4 degrees. Her progesterone was barely detectable. Her tissue estrogen levels were through the roof. She was the perfect storm of estrogen dominance with zero metabolic protection. Here's what changed everything for Rebecca. Understanding that PMS isn't a hormone problem. It's an energy problem that manifests as a hormone problem. Ray Peat, the bioenergetics pioneer, called estrogen, which was his specialty, a stress hormone. Not female hormone, not fertility hormone, stress hormone. This completely reframes everything you think you know about women's health. In a high-energy, well-fed, metabolically thriving state, estrogen stays balanced. It's kept in check by progesterone, the true protective hormone. But when metabolism drops, when energy production falls, when your thyroid slows down, everything shifts. Estrogen rises relative to progesterone as progesterone levels crash. When this happens, women usually find themselves in PMS hell. Think about it evolutionarily. When resources are scarce, when the body perceives threat, what happens? Fertility shuts down. Stress hormones rise. The body says, this is not the time to create new life. PMS is your body screaming at you that something is metabolically wrong at a deep level. It's not normal. It's a red flag that your cells aren't producing enough energy. Let me break down exactly what's happening in your body when estrogen takes over. First, understand that estrogen and progesterone are supposed to work in balance. Think of them like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other should compensate. But in estrogen dominance, that seesaw is completely broken. Estrogen, when excessive, does several metabolically destructive things. 1. It suppresses thyroid function. Estrogen increases thyroid-binding proteins, which means less free T3, the active thyroid hormone, available to your cells. Lower thyroid function equals lower metabolic rate, equals less energy production, equals the perfect environment for more estrogen dominance. It's a vicious cycle. This is why women with PMS often have cold hands and feet, thin hair, constipation, and crushing fatigue. They're hypothyroid, even if their TSH looks normal on labs. 2. Estrogen increases water retention and inflammation. Estrogen makes your cells hold onto sodium and water. This is why you bloat, why your rings don't fit, why you feel puffy and swollen. It's not fat. It's fluid retention, driven by excess estrogen signaling. 3. It disrupts glucose metabolism. High estrogen increases insulin resistance. Your cells can't use glucose efficiently, which means your blood sugar becomes unstable. This drives the insane carb cravings, the mood swings, the afternoon crashes that define PMS. And finally, 4. Estrogen increases serotonin. You'd think more serotonin would be good, right? Serotonin is the happy hormone. Wrong. Excess serotonin, especially gut-derived serotonin from endotoxin and bacterial overgrowth, is inflammatory and mood-destabilizing. Ray Peat wrote extensively about serotonin as a stress mediator, not a happiness molecule. This is one reason why selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, those SSRIs, often backfire. They're trying to manipulate a symptom of metabolic dysfunction rather than fixing the root cause. Now contrast this with progesterone, your body's anti-stress, pro-metabolic hormone. Progesterone does the exact opposite of estrogen. It increases thyroid sensitivity and supports T3 production. It reduces inflammation and water retention. It stabilizes blood sugar and improves glucose utilization. It protects your brain and nervous system, and it calms you down and promotes deep sleep. As a good example, let's look at pregnancy, which is the highest progesterone state a woman can experience, is also a time when women enjoy their highest metabolic state. In this state, basal body temperature rises. Metabolism increases by 15 to 20%. Massive amounts of CO2 is produced, which helps with tissue oxygenation. During the high progesterone state of pregnancy, women are typically warm, energized, and glowing. That's what adequate progesterone looks like. That's what normal should feel like. But here's the devastating reality. Most women over 30 are running on stress hormones with tanked progesterone and rising estrogen. And nobody's telling them why. So why is this happening to so many women? Why is PMS becoming more severe, starting earlier in life, and affecting women well into perimenopause? Let me walk you through the major drivers. Driver number 1, polyunsaturated fats increase estrogen production. Remember our episode on polyunsaturated fats, those seed oils that are in everything? They don't just suppress your metabolism directly, they also increase aromatase activity. Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen. The more PUFAS in your tissues, especially in fat tissue, the more estrogen you produce from testosterone. This is why men eating high PUFA diets develop man boobs and women eating them develop estrogen dominance. Every serving of food cooked in soybean oil, corn oil, or canola oil is literally increasing your estrogen load. Every restaurant meal, every processed snack, every salad dressing. We covered this in episode 1 when we talked about omega-6 fats, but the hormone connection is critical. PUFAS don't just block metabolism, they actively shift your hormone balance toward estrogen. Okay. Driver number 2. Low thyroid reduces estrogen clearance. Your liver is responsible for breaking down and eliminating excess estrogen, but this process requires adequate thyroid hormone and liver glycogen, which is stored glucose. When your thyroid is slow, when you're restricting carbs, when your metabolism is suppressed, your liver can't effectively clear estrogen. It builds up, recirculates, and creates dominance. This is why women on keto often lose their periods or develop terrible PMS. Their livers are trying to run on empty while also being asked to metabolize hormones. It's metabolically impossible. Driver number 3, stress suppresses progesterone. Here's where it gets really interesting. Progesterone and cortisol are both made from the same precursor molecule, pregnenolone. When you're under chronic stress, physical, emotional, metabolic, your body prioritizes cortisol production over progesterone. This is called pregnenolone steal. Your body literally steals the raw material for your protective hormone to make more stress hormone. You can't out-supplement this. You can't positive think your way out of it. You have to reduce the body's perceived stress load. So what counts as stress? Things like calorie restriction, carb restriction, intense exercise, fasting, sleep deprivation, relationship conflict, work pressure, and gut inflammation from endotoxin, to name a few. Every single one of these drives cortisol up and progesterone down. This is why the woman who's, quote, doing everything right, eating clean, exercising hard, avoiding carbs, intermittent fasting, often has the worst PMS. She's metabolically destroyed. Okay. Driver number 4, endotoxin increases estrogen. This connects back to our gut health episode. When you have bacterial overgrowth in your intestines, those bacteria release endotoxin, or something called lipopolysaccharide. Endotoxin doesn't just cause systemic inflammation, it also activates aromatase in fat tissue. That's right. More endotoxin equals more estrogen production. This is why fixing your gut is non-negotiable for hormone balance. The raw carrot salad I've mentioned multiple times before, it binds endotoxin and excess estrogen. It's not just a gut health tool, it's a hormone balance tool. And last but not least, driver number 5, birth control suppresses metabolism. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, birth control. When Rebecca's gynecologist put her on birth control to regulate her hormones, what actually happened? Her natural hormone production got shut down. Completely. Birth control doesn't regulate anything, it suppresses. It replaces your natural hormones with synthetic ones that your body doesn't recognize the same way. The pill, the patch, the shot, the IUD, they all work by shutting down the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis. No ovulation, no natural progesterone production, no protection against estrogen. And here's what nobody tells you. Synthetic progestins are not the same as bioidentical progesterone. Progestins have some progesterone-like effects, but they don't provide the metabolic protection that real progesterone does. Studies show that women on hormonal birth control have reduced thyroid hormone levels, lower basal body temperatures, increased inflammatory markers, higher rates of depression and anxiety, reduced bone density over time, and even suppressed libido. This is metabolic suppression, plain and simple, and when women come off birth control, their natural cycles are oftentimes even worse than before. This is because the underlying metabolic dysfunction was never addressed and allowed to go unchecked for all those years. So, if the problem is estrogen dominance driven by metabolic dysfunction, what's the solution? At Biospsarc Health, we believe strongly that it's not birth control. It's not symptom management. It's metabolic restoration. Let me walk you through exactly what fixed Rebecca's PMS and has worked for hundreds of other women. Step 1. Support thyroid function. Everything starts here. If your thyroid is slow, you cannot clear estrogen efficiently. You cannot produce adequate progesterone. You cannot maintain stable blood sugar. How do you support thyroid? Eat adequate carbohydrates, at least 175 to 200 grams per day for most people. Your liver needs glycogen to convert T4 to active T3. It's also important to get enough calories. Chronic restriction suppresses thyroid. You also need to support your thyroid with enough nutrients: selenium, zinc, vitamin A, iodine, but don't overdo iodine. And remember, monitor your body temperature. Target is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit upon waking and 98.6 to 99 degrees Fahrenheit midday after meals. For many women, this step alone begins to shift everything. Rebecca's temperature went from 96.4 degrees to 97.8 degrees in just 3 weeks of adequate eating and carb reintroduction. Step 2. Eliminate polyunsaturated fats. Get the seed oils out of your diet. Every single one. Soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, and safflower oil. These oils increase aromatase activity, converting testosterone to estrogen, suppress thyroid function directly, create oxidative stress that damages cells, store in tissues for years. You want to replace them with stable fats, butter, coconut oil, ghee, tallow, and even olive oil in moderation. Within 4 to 6 weeks of polyunsaturated fat elimination, most women report dramatic improvements in PMS symptoms. This isn't placebo. This is biochemistry. Okay, step 3 of the protocol. Fix your gut and reduce endotoxin. Remember, endotoxin drives estrogen production. If your gut is a mess, your hormones will be a mess. Again, quickly, here's the daily raw carrot salad protocol. 1 medium carrot peeled and shredded lengthwise. 1 teaspoon coconut oil for the antimicrobial properties. Then 1 teaspoon apple cider vinegar, which also creates a hostile environment for bacteria. And then a pinch of good salt. This simple practice binds endotoxin, binds excess estrogen, and mechanically cleanses your intestines. For additional gut support, consider things like well-cooked vegetables over raw. They're easier to digest. Bone broth and gelatin. These can be very helpful in healing the gut lining. Obviously avoid foods that cause bloating, as this is a sign of bacterial fermentation. And try to space your meals 3 to 4 hours apart, as this allows the migrating motor complex to clean your gut between meals. Okay, step 4. Support progesterone production naturally. Remember that progesterone is made from cholesterol, and your body needs the raw materials to make it. It can't just produce them out of thin air. So which foods best support progesterone production? Egg yolks, as cholesterol is the precursor. Full-fat dairy, if tolerated, as it contains hormone-supportive compounds. Magnesium-rich foods, like dark chocolate 70% plus and cooked leafy greens. And adequate saturated fats like butter and coconut oil. Vitamin E supplements can be helpful here as well. In addition to diet, lifestyle factors are also critical in supporting your body's natural progesterone production. Things like deep sleep, as progesterone production happens at night, stress management, as pregnenolone steal is real, and eating adequate calories, again, your body won't make hormones in starvation mode, are all really important to pay attention to as well. And here's something critical for cycling women. If you choose to supplement bioidentical progesterone, timing really matters. You only want to be taking progesterone on days 14 to 28 of your cycle, which is the luteal phase. This supports what your body should be doing naturally. Do not take it on days 1 to 14 of your cycle. Okay. Moving on to step 5 of the protocol. Reduce overall stress load. Remember that every form of stress suppresses progesterone and elevates cortisol, which then elevates estrogen. This includes physical stress like excessive exercise, especially if underfed, calorie restriction, carb restriction, fasting, intermittent or extended, and sleep deprivation. The crazy thing is that most of the things on this list are widely promoted as health-giving biohacks, while in reality, or at least from a bioenergetic perspective, they're really metabolic stressors that almost always end up destroying hormone balance. And in addition to the physical stresses, mental and emotional stress management is also paramount. For starters, you need to prioritize sleep, something like 7 to 9 hours dark room, cool temperature. Sunlight exposure in morning, ideally within 30 minutes of waking, is also very important as it supports circadian rhythm. Community and connection is also very important and often not discussed amongst doctors. It's well known that isolated women have worse hormones. And last, but certainly not least, you need to actively seek out joy and pleasure in your life. Progesterone is elevated in states of safety and abundance. Let me tell you what happened with Rebecca. Month 1. She eliminated seed oils, started eating breakfast with carbs and protein, added the carrot salad daily. Her morning body temperature rose from 96.4 degrees to 97.2 degrees. Her energy improved slightly, but PMS was still severe. Month 2. We added more calories. She'd been eating 1,400 calories. We went to 2,200. Optimized her protein to glycine ratio with bone broth, supported her thyroid with adequate nutrients, temperature hit 97.8 degrees. That month, her PMS was noticeably better, maybe 40% reduction in symptoms. By month 3, this is when everything clicked. Her temperature stabilized at 98.2 to 98.6 degrees. Her cycle became predictable. The bloating that used to start day 21, barely noticeable. The mood swings that destroyed her relationships, gone. The cramps that had her bedridden, mild discomfort for maybe 6 hours. By month 6, she texted me, "I forgot my period was coming. Is that normal?" Yes, Rebecca. That's normal. That's what normal feels like. In the end, she lost 22 pounds without trying. Her hair got thicker, her skin cleared up, her libido came back. Her husband said, "I got my wife back." This isn't a miracle. This is what happens when you stop fighting your body and start supporting it. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds great, but where do I even start? Let me make this simple for you. If you're new to this approach and want to understand the foundations, start with our free Bioenergetic Roadmap mini course. Go to biosparkhealth.com/roadmap. It's completely free, walks you through the basics of temperature tracking, food choices, and metabolic markers. If you want to go deeper and get practical implementation strategies, our Energy Reset Essentials course is perfect. For just $39, you get SOX video modules that break down exactly how to restore your metabolism, including a complete section on hormonal health. Plus, you get downloadable tracking tools, meal templates, and the raw carrot salad protocol. It's designed to give you quick wins in the first week. For those of you ready for comprehensive transformation with support, our Bioenergetic Reset program is a 6-week guided journey where we work together weekly coaching calls, personalized protocols, direct access to our clinical team, and a community of women going through the same transformation. At $133 a month, it's less than most women spend on supplements that aren't working. And specifically for women dealing with hormonal issues, whether it's PMS, PCOS, perimenopause, or fertility challenges, we have resources specifically for you. Our Women's Generational Health program addresses not just your hormonal health, but how to create lasting metabolic wellness for you and your daughters. Because these patterns are generational. The metabolic dysfunction that creates PMS doesn't start in your 30s. It starts in childhood with the foods you eat, the stress you experience, and the patterns you inherit. You can download our free guide at biosparkhealth.com/generations. It's packed with practical strategies for women at every life stage. The fertility piece is huge too. We released a complete metabolic fertility guide because so many women are being told their eggs are too old or that they need IVF when really they just need metabolic restoration. The guide is free and covers everything: temperature tracking, nutrient optimization, the supplements that actually matter, and protocols that have helped over 300 women conceive naturally. You can find it at biosparkhealth.com/fertility. Here's the truth. You don't need expensive treatments. You don't need to suffer monthly. You don't need to accept PMS as just being a woman. You need the right information. You need support. You need someone who understands that your hormones are downstream of your metabolism. Before we wrap up, I want to zoom out for a moment. Remember, PMS isn't just about a few bad days per month. It's a warning signal that your entire metabolic system is under stress. The same dysfunction that creates PMS also creates fertility struggles, difficulty losing weight, chronic fatigue, anxiety and depression, thyroid problems, autoimmune conditions, and even accelerated aging. When you fix the root cause, when you restore cellular energy production, everything in the body improves, not just your period. Women who follow this approach don't just get relief from PMS, they get their lives back. They wake up with energy. They lose the weight that wouldn't budge. Their skin glows. Their hair grows. Their anxiety lifts. Their relationships improve because they're not walking around in a hormone-induced fog half the month. And here's what makes me most excited. This is generational healing. When you fix your metabolism, you change what you pass on to your daughters. The daughter of a metabolically healthy mother has better fertility, easier periods, and lower disease risk throughout her entire life. The research is clear on this. Dr. Katharina Dalton's work showed that women with adequate progesterone during pregnancy had babies with average IQ scores of 130, while those with deficient levels had children averaging IQ scores of 95. Think about that for a minute. Same genetics, different hormone environment. It's important to remember that your metabolic health isn't just about you. It's about breaking cycles of dysfunction that have been passed down for generations. And that's exactly what we specialize in doing at BioSpark Health. So let's bring this full circle. PMS is not normal. It's metabolic dysfunction manifesting as hormonal chaos. And the root causes are clear: polyunsaturated fats increasing estrogen, low thyroid reducing estrogen clearance, stress-suppressing progesterone, endotoxin driving inflammation and more estrogen production, birth control suppressing natural production. But also, luckily, the solution is equally clear: support thyroid function. Eliminate polyunsaturated fats from seed oils and fatty cuts of traditionally raised chicken and pork. Fix your gut, support natural progesterone production, and reduce your stress load. This isn't complex. It's just different from what you've been told. Okay, next week, we're diving into a topic that's going to blow your mind: circadian rhythm and how it relates to and can support your metabolism. Picture this. Why you're eating perfectly. Temperature is rising, but you still can't sleep. You're still anxious, still cold, and the problem isn't your food. It could be your light environment, and it's probably hurting your thyroid and metabolic health every single day. But for now, take action on what you learned today. Start tracking your temperature first thing in the morning. Eliminate seed oils from your kitchen. Start the raw carrot salad protocol. Visit biosparkhealth.com/quickstart for a free quick start guide. I want you to understand that your body wants to heal. Your hormones want a balance. You just need to give them the right conditions. Remember, everything we discussed today is educational information only, not medical advice. Work with a healthcare provider who understands metabolic health before making changes, especially if you're on medications or hormonal birth control. Thank you for being part of the metabolic revolution. Every woman who heals herself heals her family. Every woman who breaks free from the estrogen trap shows other women it's possible. You came to the right place. Let's talk. This is Dr. Steve Presciutti reminding you that restoration, not restriction, is the path to vibrant health. See you next week.